Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another round of Modern on Alter Universe's YouTube page. This time we have Henry Klepser. I'm gonna say Klepser playing Mono Green Tron versus Jake Tarza on Temur Crashcade, aka Rhino's Turbo, whatever you want to call it. This is round 2 in our tournament, and I like that. I like both of these decks a lot. Tron hates me and will not let me play it. However, I do like the deck, at least in theory. I know some people find it kind of boring to play, except for AU Bluebell store manager Dan McCauley, who loves it, loves that deck like a child. But this is Tarzi's, I think, second or third tournament playing the Rhinos deck, and it's pretty cool. I mean, he's been playing Magic for a while. He's mostly Commander player, but it's nice to see Commander players like breaking off into Constructed. All right, so we have a the arts are good. I think it's Power Plant. The Urzatron land arts. Nope, that was mine. That's Power Plant. We're gonna play Chromatic Star and pass. Jake's just gonna fetch. Probably getting his Catcher Triumph is the Teamer one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because Rogren is the Jeskai one. I think in this matchup, Tron is typically favored because Tron just plays cards that just hose the rest of the deck, right? Like, if you, as the Rhinos player, play out your Crashing Footfalls and your opponent responds with a turn 4 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, unless you're on the play, you're kind of in a rough spot. You do have Force Negation to combat it, so it could be, I don't know, it could be a lot closer. Alright, he's going to shock at a Breeding Pool. Are we going to... He's got a Fire and Ice in his hand. So he should upkeep ice one of the Tron lands here. Deciding to not stop in the upkeep? Okay, that's weird. Alright, well, Henry's going to disable Tron. That natural turn 3 Tron. The thing that your opponent always wants to have, but you just really hope they don't get to have. Turn 4 Tron, I'm okay with, you know. And he's going to float him out and crack the star. Most likely adding a green here. And he did draw an Ancient Stirrings. You guys remember when people were complaining about Ancient Stirrings getting banned? Or like, they were like clamoring for this card to get banned. And I never understood it. Obviously the card is good. It's a good searcher. And he's got a top 5 final Oblivion Stone. But, I don't know. Like, I distinctly remember people complaining about Ancient Stirrings in the format. And it's felt weird to me. His hand doesn't look fantastic, so... We have a Garden the Great Creator, the Oblivion Stone, a Forest. Well, Henry kind of folded up his hand a bit, so we can't really see what the rest of the hand is. I'm assuming he's just going to run out the Great Creator here, and then fetch something from the board. He still has the floating mana. If he wanted to, he'd use the floating in the tower to play the Karn. I assume he's just playing around Counterspell. Yeah. Here comes the Karn. It's going to down tick and fetch. I would probably fetch Liquid Metal Coating here. It's probably the only thing he could play currently. Torpor Orb doesn't do anything, right? Because, you know, it's not a creature ETB trigger for the Cascades. They're cast triggers. Alright, so I'm going to grab the Liquid Metal Coating. Jake is going to... He's going to fire the Karn. Okay. He could have iced the Liquid Metal Coating. That way he didn't lose a land at the upkeep. That was weird. Yeah. I mean, he should be fine, right? If he has land drop for turn, which he does, he evokes out the Fury, pops the Karn, and then he's able to use the Catcher Triumph for mana again. Because now that it's become an artifact due to Karn the Great, Great Creator. I keep wanting to say liberated. Due to Karn the Great Creator, he can't tap it for mana. Alright, he's gonna fetch a Shock of Steam Vents. We have 2 new features that we tested for the stream. The clock that you can see ticking down for their round timer. We give it a 10-minute extension to the stream match just to smooth things out in case anything happens. Also, you know, you're on camera, you might be a little bit more deliberate when doing your plays. Yep, there's the pitch into Fury. It's gonna throw 4 damage right at that Karn. Forgetting to exile. Remember, you exile when you evoke. You exile a red card. You do not discard a red card. All right, he's going to Shardless Agent, and he's going to Cascade here, revealing cards from the top of his deck until he hits something that he can play. Which the only card in his deck is Crashing Footfalls. Him and I were talking, I think, after the tournament, and I was saying you should play Inevitable Betrayal because that card is super cool. Not in the main board. It's definitely not something you main. More of a sideboard, like, tech piece for decks like Tron and Amulet Titan. Because, I mean, if you Violent Outburst during your opponent's turn, like during your Tron, the opposing Tron player's turn, and as long as they don't cast an Ulamog that turn, like, you just take their Ulamog from the deck, put it on the board, and just attack them and exile 20 cards, while also attacking with a 20/20. It doesn't sound amazing, but it does sound pretty good. Alright, Henry's going to put a Forest into play. Looks like he has an Ulamog in hand, which he'll be able to drop next turn. He could always just play out the O-Stone here, crack the O-Stone. Or play the O-Stone and just kind of wait and see what he does. Alright, Jake's going to attempt to attack in for 10. Henry's going to blow the O-Stone. And Jake's going to drop a Seasoned Pyro. Discarding a... He's got an Outburst, a Footfalls, and a Brazen Borrower. Okay. This is when I realized that we don't have 1/1 elemental tokens for the stream. So I go and grab the token box, see if we have any. We don't. And I give them 1/1 plant tokens because it's the only 1/1s I could quickly find that didn't have like keyword skills on them. So. Alright, so 7, 8. Did he play a land for turn? I don't think he did. He did a Sylvan Scrying, floating 1 mana. Grabbing a Sanctivugan. Going to search out probably an Ulamog after playing something like Karn Liberated. Henry is definitely in like the commanding position to this game. Oh, there's Karn Liberated himself, using the floating mana. And I'm gonna pop the Sanctum. Ooh, look at that foil main boarded Relic of Regeneratus. That is a nice looking card. I wonder if Henry has any like interesting text besides like, you know, the Relic and the main board. I wonder if everything else is pretty stock. I noticed with Tron players, they either do something really interesting with their deck, or that's the plant tokens coming down. They either do something really interesting and kind of like niche, or they just like plain old stock Tron, which is, you know, nothing wrong with that. I know for a little while, Dan was playing. Oh, what the heck is the name of that card? It's the Stern Glow Serpent. During like when multicolor like decks were a bit bigger, so like when humans was still running around. Not that humans was a bad matchup. Uro was still a thing because Serpent could block an Uro pretty reliably. Alright. Go to Violent Outburst and cast. He could have. Not sure I remember what that conversation was. Not gonna lie. Yep. 2, 4, 9, 10. Ulamog's gonna eat a Catcher Triome and a token. And honestly, it's probably game from this point. Tarzia has, one card in hand, a 4/4, and 2 1/1s. It's not gonna outrace the Ulamog. He could kill the Karn here, like icing the Ulamog. Ah, okay. Choosing, I guess, to ice the Ulamog and upkeep. There's also just a raw Blasto in there, too. That's pretty good. Yep, the raw Blastone coming out. Probably just gonna immediately pop the Blastone. Yeah. Oh? Ugin? Walking Ballista. 5/5. Gonna ice the Ulamog. Draws for that. Uptick on Karn. Exiles a Shredless Agent. Not the card that Jake wanted to draw. I don't know what he wanted to draw, but it definitely wasn't another copy of Crashing Footfalls. Just gonna suspend it, I guess. And you gotta pay a mana for that, but I don't think it really matters. I don't think the game's going 4 more turns. I think Jake is doing combat math here, realizing that he is pretty much dead always on the crackback. Consider just has to pop the Blastone to kill the tokens and then attack him for 15. Yep. Alright, that's going to be game 1 going to Henry. And we'll be back for a second in game 2. And we're back for game 2. We have Jake on the play. I'm going to use a Misty Reinforce. Probably just fetching out a Triumph just to get it done and over with. The Triumphs are interesting, right? Like, I think I've talked about it before. I never know how I feel about them. If you're playing a less proactive deck, they feel really good. Like, this deck, fetching your one of Triumph that, taps for one of any of the colors you need, that's pretty good. I like it. But, like, decks like, I was playing Esper Reanimator for a good bit, and that plays a Triumph, and I never liked the Triumph in that deck. I know what it's there for. I never liked fetching it. Right. And he's just going to put I think it was a power plant. Yeah, power plant into play, and then playing the Chromatic Sphere. The ball, not the star. Jake is going to put a Scalding Tarn into play? Is that the... I can't tell. No, definitely not a Scalding Tarn. Alright, he's going to ice down the Sphere, which is pretty cool. I can't tell what that is. The glare is just hitting it ever so much, so I can't see the... Damn. Alright, well, now he's going to put a mine in and pass. The ice was actually really cool, because I think his plan was to Sylvan Scrying out and find the 3rd Tron land. Alright, there's a beautiful mountain. With tap 3, 4. Are we cascading? No, we're playing a Seasoned Pyromancer. What are we discarding here? A land and a fire and ice? Okay. Alright, dropping a forest and a fire and ice, so he's going to draw 2 cards. He's going to make 1 elemental. This card is cool. This is one of the cards from Modern Horizons 1 that I wish I had picked up earlier on. Just because, like, it's kind of expensive now. It's like 40 bucks a piece, I think. He's going to crack Float of Green. Here comes the Sylvan Scrying. Jake can prevent that. Yeah, he's got a Force Negation hand. This is a like really good thing to force. Yep, Force Pitch and Prismari Command. The Sylvan Scrying is exiled. It does not go to the graveyard, but it's neither here nor there. So remember, kids, if your spell gets countered by Force of Negation, it gets exiled. Alright, tapping 3 for a Violent Outburst. Show us some rhinos. Guys, that was an awful lot of cards to go through before hitting the Crashing Footfalls. Henry asked him to take a look and see if maybe he could spot some sideboard cards like Force of Vigor. We saw Blood Moon, yeah. Makes sense. Both are really good cards against this deck. Right, we're going to attack in for... Actually, don't know how big the Pyromancer is. It could be a 2-2. Wow, they're both... I think it's a 2-2. But they're buffed by the Violent Outburst right now. So he's going to take 5 damage and go to 15. What's the name of that land? Is it Boilworks? That's really going to bother me. Now, is it Boilerworks? Is the Career land? Alright, Henry's going to scoop up and just go to game 3. Was not able to draw the Tron land and definitely wasn't able to outright race the board. Alright, I'm going to cut to game 3 in just a second. Alright, and we're here on game 3 with Henry on a really unfortunate mull to 4. But if there's any deck that can mull well in this game, it is Tron. I have seen people mull to 2 and still hit Nat, like, Tron, like, yeah, still hitting Nat Tron, like, it's absurd. Alright, so, mine, map, Jake doing the same turn 1 he's done the last 2 games. Fetch land into a Triumph. Alright, so we drew the card Liberated. We have a Forest. Forest is something I cannot tell what the other card in his hand is. Jake puts a Misty into play. He has a Fire and Ice. Got a fetch down to 19. Or fetch down to 18. It's the second fetch of the game. What do I have to play this? I mean, he could upkeep Ice the Forest. I just kind of force him to crack the map immediately. Alright, so he's going to put the Stopping Grounds in and shock down to 16. And pass, crack the map. Grabs the power plant. Yeah, I think... I mean, he doesn't have the card combination in his hand. But... icing the Forest here is probably pretty good. Anything really just prevent him from going and casting a Sylvan Scrying. Yep, upkeep interaction. Ice that. Draw a card. that for turn. He had another map too. He would have been able to play map and crack it. Plays map and sphere. And I'm pretty sure he has a... Yeah. He has a Force of Vigor in his hand. Force pitching Shardless Agent. Probably not the thing I would pitch. But also, again, if you... You have to exile the card. Jake, if you watch this, you gotta exile your cards for the Forces. And for your evokes. You probably sideboard Endurance. This is an important thing you should know. Alright, so Pyro is going to discard a land and it looks like another copy of Pyro. So we're going to draw 2. Card is so good, man. Like, I really enjoy playing that card. Okay, Ancient Stirrings. So you're able to naturally find... Oh, he does. Okay, cool. We have a game. Finds the tower. Tower for turn. Play card liberated. Last card in hand, too. Exiles the Pyromancer. And passes. So Jake has a Violent Outburst in hand. He also has a Shardless Agent. From 1. I could just pass and bluff with the Outburst. But, I mean, barring Henry top decking and Ugin, nothing really deals with the Shardless play. Alright, just gonna kill the Karn. And pass him. It's gonna fetch in the meantime just to speed things up. Tron's one of those decks, man. Like, empty-handed. You think you're in a good position, and then they just top tech something that could win them the game on the spot. Or at least get them close to winning the game. Like, if he draws a Worm Coil Engine here, he drew a star. He's going to crack for green mana. I look like an Ulamog that he unfortunately cannot cast right now. Here's a Murktide Regent. So what he could do is Shardless, cast the Rhino, play Murktide Regent, because then you can delve an extra spell away for the Murktide. So you only should have 2 or 3 in there right now. It's the Force of Vigor and the... Ooh, actually, this is another time where it not really matters that you exile your cards, because if he delves away... Nah, he didn't pitch a spell. Okay. Yeah, I think he actually cast both of those cards, so it's fine. Cool. Tagging it for 1. He has a 6/6 Murktide. Murktide Regent, man. I love that card. Probably my favorite Modern Horizons 2 card. I know there's, like, clearly better cards, like Ragavan and stuff, but Murktide is just such a house. Here comes a 5/5? Or 4/4? 4/4. So fetch in the end step, probably casting the Violent Outburst here. I think I liked playing the Shardless. Again, you're still weak to a top deck Ugin. At least the Outburst play is probably better. Doing Shardless first is greedy, so... Yeah. And Jake's like in a position where he doesn't really need to be greedy. Like, yeah, he's lower on life, but he's ahead in board state. The Ballista's not in the greatest spot. The most he can really do is, I mean, he can block one, kill the other, or shadow block one, but Trample's going to go through that anyways. Yeah, the best thing it can do is remove a Rhino. Jake draws the third Fire and Ice. He's going to ice down the Ballista. He's just going to shoot a Rhino in response. Yeah, so here they're asking if Jake will still draw a card, but since the Walking Ballista is no longer a legal target for the effect, the complete effect will not resolve. Yeah, this is them having me, or them asking me to go check the ruling, just to make sure that's how that worked. But this is when in doubt, be safe and check the ruling type of scenario, which is always what you should do when you have somebody with the resources right there. Cool. And he's going to attack in for 11 damage, put him to 8. And then cast another Shardless Agent. Or cast a Shardless Agent. It's the first one technically cast. And then Cascade into a Rhinos. If Henry hits Ugin off the top here, it'll be the greatest Ugin of all time. There'll be so much value on that minus that down tick. And unfortunately draws another copy of Ulamog. Alright, that'll be Jake picking up the match 2-1 over Mono Green Tron with Temur Crashcade. That's backwards, I should say. 1-2. Thanks for watching, folks.